UFC on ABC2, Vettori versus Holland. Weigh-in recap, predictions, and the full card betting preview. Should be a pretty fun card. Make sure you guys smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on those post notifications too. And without further ado, let's start it off with the first fight of the night. Impa Kasanganay versus Sasha Paletnikov. Both fighters on weight, 170.5. This, the debut for Impa Kasanganay at welterweight in the UFC. I'm very excited to see how he looks. Have an image here of both fighters. Not much of a height advantage for Paletnikov. He's 6'1" to 5'11" Impa Kasanganay. I think it's a really fun matchup. Kasanganay is an excellent mixed martial artist, very technical. Really has improved, over the years of fighting. Was on Dana White's Contender Series, I believe, 2 times. We'll quickly pull up his last couple. Prior to that tough loss against Joaquin Buckley, had a ton of momentum riding. Yeah, two straight Dana White's Contender Series bouts back-to-back. Got his UFC shot, beat Maki Pitolo, and then Joaquin Buckley pulled off one of the craziest knockouts ever. It's the fight game. It happened. Sasha Paletnikov coming off of, I would say, very huge upset victory. A fight that he was not expected to win against Luis Kosei. Goes out there and stops him in the 3rd round after taking a lot of punishment early. Paletnikov is a guy that can weather the storm. Impa Kasanganay, though, is not a guy that's going to empty out the gas tank looking for the finish early. He's complacent going the distance. He's very technical. I believe he fights with a smart game plan. Maybe will even look to get this fight to the ground. I feel like he gets a unanimous decision win over Sasha Paletnikov here in a very good welterweight debut. I think Kasanganay is a guy with a ton of potential, 8-1 as a pro. Even if you look back at the Joaquin Buckley fight, before he got caught with that spinning back kick, he was starting to shift the momentum a bit and get comfortable in there. I think he's going to go and beat Sasha Paletnikov here. Minus 300 favorite to plus 235 underdog. If you want to maybe bet on him straight up, do you want to throw the 300 down? Personally, think more of a parlay piece, but I do think he's a fairly lock pick here, and I think he beats Sasha Paletnikov. I feel like the only way he loses this fight is going to be if he gets caught with something crazy, but Paletnikov, I don't think does that to him, because I don't think Kasanganay will empty the gas tank, and I don't think Paletnikov is going to catch him with some crazy spinning back kick. Impa Kasanganay, unanimous decision here in this matchup. Next fight of the night, Da Un Jung and William Knight. When I bring up the weigh-in face-off for this fight, you guys are going to be like, wow, the size difference is insane. It blew my mind when I saw it. I didn't realize Da Un Jung was this tall. He's listed there at 6'4". He looks about 6'7". 5'10" William Knight is seriously outsized here. Reach advantage, height advantage, all in the favor of Da Un Jung. He's a very technical striker, good on the feet. I feel like he's going to be able to pick William apart from the outside. Knight definitely has a puncher's chance here. Very hard puncher. Look at the odds. Plus 110 for William Knight. So obviously there's a lot of respect for his power and his striking ability and his durability as well. Da Un Jung, the minus 135 favorite. I just feel like he is too big for William Knight, who I believe William Knight at 185, he'd be best suited there. I predict Da Un Jung either a late TKO, maybe in the 3rd round, or a unanimous decision here. But I like the slight favorite at minus 135. Definitely is a fight that you could bet straight up on. Less confident if you're looking to put it in a parlay, though, just because I do think William Knight does have a legitimate puncher's chance. He's a big puncher, but the size difference is just so substantial here. It's very hard to pick William Knight. So I believe Da Un Jung does win this fight. Next fight of the night, Luis Saldana versus Jordan Griffin. I'm really excited to see this matchup. Griffin, the plus 115 dog. Saldana, the minus 140 favorite. I picked Jordan Griffin to win this fight. I do think he's going to be able to get it done here and pull off what would be an upset win over an up-and-coming guy. Let me quickly pull up the weigh-in photo for this bout. Size is pretty similar here, 5'10", 5'11", both in very good shape. Reach advantage actually to the shorter man, Jordan Griffin. I definitely think that's a factor. I like Griffin's chances. I think he can win this fight by submission or by decision here. I think he's going to get it done. It's a good matchup. It's an exciting matchup, but I don't think Luis Saldana beats Jordan Griffin. Griffin's got a good amount of experience, and I think he's a very live dog and an excellent underdog pickup at the plus 115. I'm going to ride Jordan Griffin. Both fighters on weight, so no issues there. And similar size. I think that Jordan Griffin has the tools to beat the very good Luis Saldana, who I have been impressed with, but UFC debut, it's going to be tricky against Jordan Griffin here. Next fight of the night, Jack Shore and Hunter Azure. One of the more exciting fights on the card for me. Jack Shore is an up-and-coming fighter. He's undefeated, 13-0, 9-1 Hunter Azure. He's had a good streak going. I mean, besides his loss to Brian Kelleher, he's been very good in the UFC. He's a plus 145 underdog, very good wrestling ability. Jack Shore also very good with his grappling skills. I feel like Jack Shore should get the win here, but this isn't an easy fight. I think the striking advantage is in Jack Shore's favor. Wrestling advantage, I think Azure can probably fend off a lot of Jack Shore's takedowns and maybe even land some of his own, but I think he needs to be careful of the submission game of Jack Shore. I predict Jack Shore to get this done by a close decision here. I don't think it's an easy fight. If you're going to bet on this fight, don't go crazy, because I think this is truly more of a pick'ems bout, and it's a very tough matchup for Jack Shore. This is a serious test early on in his UFC career. You can check out the weigh-in there. Similar size, slight height advantage in favor of Jack Shore, it looks like. As far as the stats go, though, 5'8" for both of them, 135.5 to 136. The weights are even. Very good matchup. I think it's going to be a fun one, but I do think Jack Shore by a close decision here. Could even see him getting a submission, but you need to respect Hunter Azure. You can bet on Jack Shore, but it is a more risky bet because, I mean, Azure 9-1, solid striker. He did get the stoppage loss to Brian Kelleher. That's a tricky matchup. Kelleher is a guy that's been around for a very long time, lots of pro experience and whatnot. Jack Shore, I do still think, though, he wins this fight by a decision at minus 175. Not terrible odds, not too widespread. You could bet on him, but this is a tricky fight, without a doubt. Hunter Azure is game. The next fight of the night, Yorgan de Castro and Jarjis Danho. Danho has not fought since 2016. Right away, that's a red flag for me, just because of the inactivity. Yorgan de Castro hasn't looked good as of late by any means, but he's been active. 2-fight losing streak for him after some momentum earlier on in his UFC career. I do believe he's going to beat Jarjis Danho here. I could see this fight being a fight that goes the distance. I could also see a knockout win. I hope it's a heavyweight slobber knocker fight. I hope we get an entertaining bout, but I do have a feeling this could be not the best fight. But I think Danho is going to make it fun because he's going to force Yorgan de Castro to fight him. So I'm going to pick de Castro to win. I think he can get a knockout in the first or second round, but I also think a decision wouldn't be surprising. Slight reach advantage, 1.5 inch for Jarjis Danho, the man mountain at 75.5. He is also 3 inches taller, but I do think power advantage definitely in favor of Yorgan de Castro. Quickly pull it up. 261.5 for de Castro, 255 for Jarjis Danho. I like this matchup. He doesn't look 6'3" there. He looks maybe more like 6'1.5", 6'2", because the size difference doesn't look substantial. Even more confident seeing this in Yorgan de Castro. He's going to get it done here. At minus 310, he's a parlay pickup. I don't think he's a straight up bet. I mean, unless you want to, you have the money to throw down, sure. Go throw the 310 down. I think he's a near lock pick, but more of a parlay pickup. And I would say he's a moderate confidence pick here. I mean, Jarjis Danho not fighting since 2016, not the best results, and doesn't have a lot of pro experience either. This is de Castro's fight here. The next fight of the night, I like this matchup a lot. John Makdessi versus Ignacio Bahamondes. This is right here a serious size discrepancy and the youth advantage in favor of Ignacio. 23 versus 35, 6'3" versus 5'8", 68-inch reach to the 75.5-inch reach, all in favor of Ignacio here. I feel like he's going to go out there and put on a very good performance against John Makdessi. You can't count Makdessi out. He hits hard. He's a good Muay Thai striker. But Ignacio is going to put on a very good performance. I do think he beats Makdessi, probably more along the lines of a win by a decision or a late stoppage. Something to note, though, he did weigh in at 156.8, so technically he did miss weight for this matchup. Makdessi comes in at 153.5. I think that weight miss even more favors Ignacio, though. He's just a naturally bigger guy, and he's so much taller than John Makdessi. I'm going to ride Ignacio beating John Makdessi, and I feel like he does so by either a late TKO or a unanimous decision. He's a minus 195 favorite to the plus 160 dog. I'll be honest, at minus 195, I really like the odds, actually, because under minus 200, I like it a lot. I think it's somebody you can bet straight up on. I really see him beating John Makdessi pretty much everywhere here. Very experienced, too, for being only 23 years of age, already 14 pro fights, and John Makdessi lost his last one, but, I mean, did have a 3-fight winning streak quietly going on, but just bad matchup here for him. I do want to pull up John Makdessi's last fight because off the top of my head, I can't remember who it was against. Trinaldo by a decision. Prior to that, had 3 straight wins. But look, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. He's fighting once a year, and that goes back to 2016 is the last time he fought more than once a year, and it was just twice. I feel like this is going to be Ignacio's fight here. And I do lean decision, though, because definitely John Makdessi is a fairly durable guy. Should be a good matchup, though. I'm excited. I think striking fight here. A lot of strikes will be thrown in this matchup. I think it will mostly be contested on the feet. Next fight of the night, Scott Holtzman and Mateusz Gamrot. Gamrot fought Garam Kutulidze in his debut. He lost that fight. A lot of people felt it was a controversial decision. Even Garam himself said, hey, I thought I lost that fight. So mad respect to Garam in that fact there. And Mateusz Gamrot can fight. Very good on the ground. Solid stand-up. He's 156. Hot sauce Scott Holtzman, 155.5. I like Scott Holtzman, but I do think that you got to ride with the young protege here in Gamrot. We'll quickly pull up the photo from the weigh-ins and see these guys facing off with one another. Pretty similar size. Oh, it's not up yet. Pretty similar size for both of them, 5'9" to 5'10". I think this is Gamrot's fight here. He's 30. Scott Holtzman's 37. If Holtzman was a few years younger, I do think it's a lot more of a competitive bout. But at this point, I just feel like this is Gamrot's fight. I think he's going to go out there, put on a good performance, and get himself a victory. And I do think he does so by a decision here. I got to give Holtzman the credit. He's a pretty tough guy. Good grappling, too. So I do think it's going to be competitive at moments. But I think on the scorecards, maybe even a 30-27 for Mateusz Gamrot here. He's sitting at a minus 245 favorite to the plus 200 dog. I like Gamrot as a parlay pickup. Not so much a straight up bet, just simply because the minus 245, but depends what you're trying to make. You could bet on him straight up and, make yourself a little dough, because I don't see Scott Holtzman beating him unless he landed maybe a big punch, because I don't see him beating Gamrot by a decision. And I do think that's Scott Holtzman's best means of victory is winning by decision, because I don't think he's the biggest of punchers. I don't think he beats Gamrot, though. I'm riding Gamrot. Next fight, Jim Miller, Joe Solecki. I'm super excited for this matchup. Joe Solecki's a minus 250 favorite. Jim Miller a plus 200 dog. It's interesting to me how Joe Solecki, so early in his career, has gained this momentum to go out there and be this much favored over Jim Miller, a guy who's had tons of UFC fights. I actually agree with it, though. I like Joe Solecki. I think he's got an excellent style, very good boxing, but also very dangerous with his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I have Joe Solecki winning here against Jim Miller by a decision. Jim Miller is always game. I think Solecki needs to respect his skill set on the ground as far as his submissions go. I think Solecki will. He's the more athletic guy. He's the younger guy by 10 years. He's going to win this fight and beat Jim Miller, and I think this is the biggest win of his career. And you may very well be looking at a future top 10 lightweight here in Joe Solecki. I do believe he could potentially be that guy. I have him winning this matchup, and I do think it's a fun fight here between these two. Similar size, odds, as I mentioned, minus 250 for Solecki. I like him more as a parlay piece, but again, it depends how much money you have to throw down. If you're willing to throw down and risk the 250 to make the 100, I do believe high likelihood you're getting that 100, because I feel like on paper, Joe Solecki definitely wins here. And even when you get in the cage, you're going to see the athleticism advantage, the boxing advantage, and I think the overall youth advantage is definitely in favor of Joe Solecki here to beat Jim Miller. Next fight of the night. This is the first fight on the main card. Mike Perry and Daniel Rodriguez. It's probably the fight most fight fans are maybe even most looking forward to. I think it's going to be action-packed striking throughout. Daniel Rodriguez is a very good striker. Coming off of a disappointing loss against Nicholas Dalby, though. I was disappointed to see that result for him because he had a ton of momentum. Mike Perry, tough loss against Tim Means. I think this is a striker's dream fight. This is a hardcore fan's dream fight. If you love entertaining fights, you're going to love this matchup. These guys are going to strike. They're going to brawl. I believe it's more of a 50-50 fight than the odds would even have it. I think this is pretty much a pick'ems. Mike Perry at plus 120. He's a very valuable underdog if you're looking to put money on a dog. Daniel Rodriguez at minus 145 is actually a pretty good favorite with those odds. He's 34, Perry 29. I had a very difficult time picking this fight. Who's going to win? I think Daniel Rodriguez definitely has a legitimate chance of beating Mike Perry. I do. But I also acknowledge Mike Perry looks to be in the best shape we've seen him in a while. I'll quickly pull back the image there. I mean, Mike Perry looks very lean. He looks in shape. I know he's training hard now. He's not slacking like I believe he was prior. I think this is going to be a better Mike Perry. I'm going to pick Daniel. I'm going to be honest. This is one of the hardest. I'm calling this a 50-50 fight, to be honest here. I like the odds of this fight going over a round and a half. I think that it does. I may even see this fight going 3 rounds, to be honest with you guys. Earlier in the week, I picked Daniel Rodriguez. It's hard for me to say who I want, who I'm picking here, because I mean, I think both fighters have keys to victory. But you know what? I'm gonna ride with what have you done for me lately? I think Daniel Rodriguez, even though he lost to Nicholas Dalby, he's looked better as of late. I do think he can pull it off, but that's a low confidence pick. I think that Mike Perry's a live underdog. I think that it can go either way. I'm personally not betting this fight. I'm just gonna enjoy it. I'm a big Mike Perry fan, so I feel like I'm going to be rooting Mike Perry, even though I did pick Daniel Rodriguez. So this might be one of those fights that I really hope I'm wrong on, and I hope that we see Mike Perry pull it off. But I do think Daniel Rodriguez being a bit longer, he's going to outstrike Perry just by a bit. Perry hasn't looked great as of late, and I feel like Daniel Rodriguez can win this fight. Mike Perry, though, you cannot count him out. He's a beast. He's a dog, and I do think excellent fight here. But skip the bet. Personally, skip the bet on that one. Nina Nunes versus Mackenzie Dern. They finally changed her name to Nina Nunes because it was still Nina Anasarov when I covered the fights earlier in the week. So good to see. I do think Nina's going to beat Mackenzie Dern. She's an excellent striker and also has some of the highest takedown defense percentages in the women's flyweight division, or excuse me, rather women's strawweight division. Mackenzie Dern's excellent with her jiu-jitsu, so Nina does need to really respect that grappling game, but I feel like she's going to get it done. She's going to beat her on the feet, defend the takedowns. Mackenzie Dern is a live dog here, though, especially at the plus 110. She's not a bad pickup if you're looking for an underdog with a legit chance. I wouldn't say this is the most confident pick of the night, but I do think there's a high possibility Nina Nunes wins this one. She's the minus 140 favorite. If you want to bet on this one, bet straight up. Don't put Nina in a parlay because I do think it's riskier. If you want to bet a dog, Mackenzie Dern's not a bad dog pickup because if it does go to the ground, there's a legit chance she could tap out Nina Nunes. But I do think the takedown defense will hold up, and I think the striking range, it's Nina Nunes' show here. So I do have her winning. 116 for Nunes, 115 for Mackenzie Dern. We'll quickly pull up the face-off here for these two. Slight height advantage for Nina Nunes at 5'5". She looks more like she's 5'6" to Mackenzie Dern, at 5'3", but 5'5" to 5'4". I think that height makes the difference. Leverage advantage potentially in the clinch situations, and I think from the outside, she's going to be landing better shots, and that's why I am picking Nina Nunes to win this one. I do think it's going to be a fun fight, though. High stakes matchup. Both of them in the top of the women's strawweight division, definitely, even if they aren't ranked, the top of the top. Both are top fighters in that weight class. Next fight of the night, Sam Alvey and Julian Marquez. Right away, I'll tell you, Sam Alvey at a plus 155 dog. That surprised me when I saw it because Sam Alvey has been competitive with solid fighters at light heavyweight. He's now fighting Julian Marquez, who really struggled against Maki Pitolo. Not that Maki Pitolo's not a good fighter, but he's not as good as the matchups that Sam Alvey has been competitive in the light heavyweight division. Julian Marquez is very difficult, though, on the ground. He has very good submissions. I feel like Sam Alvey beats him here. He'll defend the takedown, land better strikes on the feet at plus 155. I think that's a very valuable dog. I just think because of the bad streak going for Sam Alvey is the reason the bookmakers now have him as the underdog, but I think he should beat Julian Marquez here. I think he could even TKO Marquez. I'm going to ride Sam Alvey to win this fight. Both fighters on weight, 186 for both of them. Sam Alvey doesn't seem to have much of an issue making weight at 185. I think he should stick here because I think the guys are just a little bit too strong for him in the light heavyweight division. He's a little bit outsized. Granted, not in the height department. I think just in the muscle department. But I feel like at 185, he's definitely one of the bigger middleweights. And I feel like he's going to beat the Cuban Missile Crisis, Julian Marquez here. And I think he does so possibly by a unanimous decision or a late stoppage because Sam Alvey does have some power in his punches. Should be a good matchup. I like the plus 155 dog here. I'd bet the dog. If you're feeling like you want to bet a dog, this is the dog to bet right here. Sam Alvey. I think he beats Julian here. Next fight of the night, Arnold Allen and Sodiq Yusuff. This is a future top 5, top 10 fighters matchup. Maybe top 5, honestly. I think both these guys are on the hot streak to being top fighters, in the featherweight division. Both have excellent striking. Both are very capable on the ground. Yusuff a bit more athletic, and that's really why I like him here. I think he's the faster of the two. I like his Muay Thai. I feel like Arnold Allen is excellent. I feel like it's going to be competitive. I think Sodiq Yusuff by a decision, maybe even a split decision here is a realistic outcome. I'm going to ride Sodiq Yusuff to win this fight. I think he's going to beat Arnold Allen. So excited, though, for this matchup. This is a very good fight, and I can't wait to see what happens. Both in excellent shape. Not much of a size advantage for either. They look about the same height, even though Sodiq is listed at 5'9" and Arnold Allen at 5'8". Actually, Allen looks maybe a bit taller. I think that we're going to see Sodiq edge this fight out by a close decision. At a minus 150, he's not a bad pickup, but I do acknowledge he's fighting Arnold Allen, who's also undefeated in the UFC. This fight could really go either way, but I do like the minus 150 for Sodiq Yusuff. Should be an excellent fight. I'm so excited. I'm not betting this fight. Skip the bet, because I think this is a battle between two prospects, and it really could go either way, even though I do feel Sodiq Yusuff has the tools to win this matchup. Now, the next fight of the night is the main event. Marvin Vettori versus Kevin Holland. I think this is a really fun fight. Vettori's striking is very dangerous. He's strong. But I will give credit to Kevin Holland. He's got good kickboxing and he's rangy. And he's also 6'3". He's a tall guy with an 81-inch reach. From the outside, he should be able to pick apart Marvin Vettori. The thing is, Vettori is a beast. He comes forward. He clinches up well against the cage. I think he's going to put Kevin Holland on his back here. The takedown defense, to me, is questionable of Kevin Holland, especially after Derek Brunson took him down so many times and controlled him throughout. He gets complacent while he's on his back. He stays there. He talks. He smacks. He throws shots from the bottom, but you're not going to knock out fighters from the bottom very often. He beat Jacare by it, but it's not a thing that happens much. You know, how often do you see from the bottom knockouts? Very rarely. We've seen it only a couple of times. Uriah Hall pulled it off on Tough years ago against Dylan Andrews. I think Marvin Vettori controls throughout. I actually think Vettori by a submission in the third round is a very possible outcome here. I think he beats Kevin Holland, even though I do think Holland's coming with a fire lit under his ass. I think Vettori's fire is on another level. He wants that Adesanya rematch. I think he's definitely getting close to it, and he's coming into his own. He trains with Rafael Cordero. He trains alongside Kelvin Gastelum, who's an excellent middleweight. I'm riding Marvin Vettori to win this fight, and I have him beating Kevin Holland. This will be 2 straight losses for Holland, but gotta respect the man for stepping up on short notice to fight against Marvin Vettori. The odds, minus 350 for Vettori, plus 290 for Holland. We'll quickly pull up the face-off here. This is the wrong face-off. We'll get the right face-off up. 1 second. Holland and Vettori right there. Intense face-off. They were getting into it. They were in each other's faces. Holland is very serious here. I do believe he has a fire lit under his ass. I think he puts on a better performance while it lasts against Derek Brunson, but I think that Vettori, by a finish, submission, round number 3 is a likely outcome. I have him winning this fight. I would say Vettori is a parlay pickup because minus 350 is pretty widespread. But you can't sleep on Kevin Holland here. He is game, but I just think the level difference will be fairly substantial. Holland will have his moments, but Vettori gets it done. That is it for the full card betting preview and weigh-in recap, as well as the predictions. Excited for this matchup. Should be some excellent bouts. 13 fights on the card. This UFC on ABC 2. Make sure you guys tune in. I appreciate everybody for watching. Make sure you all smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Also, guys, follow my social media. Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And I will see you all in the next video.